Mahomes looks to throw it. Pump faking, right side. He wants it. A comeback cut. It is caught by Kelsey. Touchdown, Kansas City. The game is over. The Kansas City Chiefs are champions. How about those Chiefs?
Welcome to another episode of the Kingdom Corner. We're here with Dale and Andrew. We are recapping the Vikings win this past Sunday. And so as we jump into this, we want to remind you, make sure you follow us on whatever platform you're listening to this on. Comment and share it with your friends. That helps us beat all those algorithm things and helps us get it out to more people so that more people can hear good, clean commentary that is good material over the Chiefs. So help us out with that if you would. So, but now let's jump into the Vikings game. So, Dale, how do you feel about this game now that it's over?
Yeah, I mean, 5 weeks in, I think we kind of know what teams are, and we know what the Chiefs are. They're a championship contender, and then we know what the Vikings are, the NFC North Chargers.
That's right.
So,
that's right.
according to you, right?
They'll be in every game, but they'll win or lose by one possession every game. Every once in a while, you might get a few not, but that's who they are.
I mean, you said that last week, and then just watching the game unfold, where they're super competitive. They got all kinds of weapons on offense and defense.
Yeah.
But just a few things that just kind of, man, the fumble on the opening drive or opening play, and then the coaching, the timeouts being used in the fourth quarter are all being used by 9 minutes and 5 seconds left. They had used all their timeouts in that game. So I think some of those things, the questionable challenging calls that you kind of just hey, that's what they call. Let's just gear up. And so I think that's a huge momentum thing. But yeah, just seeing the Vikings lay an egg a little bit there at the end. Man, they fought all the way till the end. And so we'll probably get into this, but did not care for Travis Kelce to be in the bat in the end zone at the last play. That was strange. But my boy Mike Dana came through and ended the game. So, yeah.
Yeah, so let's just start with the Chiefs offense there versus the Vikings defense. So the offense, one guy I want to point out that, Chiefs Twitter, or I guess Chiefs X followers, whoever you want to call them, have been clamoring for since the preseason is Justyn Ross, right? And he's got 2 catches, I think, coming into this game, and he had 3 catches yesterday. I think he's only not caught one pass that's been thrown his way this year, and that was yesterday. So he was 3 for 4 on passes thrown his way. And even the one he dropped was going to be a difficult catch, and he made that first catch he had was incredible, right? Going up over the top of the guy. And so just some of these wide receivers that we kind of were wondering about to start the season, man, can they figure it out? I think they're starting to get there.
Yes, I think so too. And I think we got to remember Justyn Ross wasn't in the lineup last year. He was hurt coming in. And so this is his first preseason or training camp. This is his first year with the team, really. And so you want to look at Justyn Ross as a rookie, even though he may have a better grasp of the offense than some rookies, but he's still very much a rookie with Pat throwing on the ball. And so I think that chemistry will continue to build, just like the Rashee Rice chemistry is awesome.
Somebody made a prediction that Rashee Rice might lead the team in receiving yards as far as wide receivers go.
Yeah.
That person's starting to look like a genius, whoever that.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Jay Watt with those deep bombs.
Man,
he keeps getting those. He might prove you wrong.
He might. He very well might. Man, speaking of him, man, he had 2 huge catches. I'll tell you, we were talking about a second ago, but that one I thought was going to be an interception. He just ripped out that defender's hands.
Right, yeah. And they were that was third down. That was a third down play, huge play. I think Pat in his press conference afterwards talked about, hey, that kept the drive going, that kept momentum going. He said that was kind of a turning point in the game in the second half, where Jay Watt just came through big. And so I think you're seeing where Pat is trusting the wide receivers a little more, especially with Travis Kelce getting a little banged up there at the end of the first half.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think the one thing that some of these receivers still need to work on a little bit, we mentioned it briefly last week, briefly mentioned again, is their defensive coverage reading as they run the routes, right?
Yeah.
So they're starting to learn how to read these routes and get open a little more, which is good. They just need to learn a little better how to read the defense and find the open spot like Travis Kelce does, right? And like on that touchdown pass to Kelce, I mean, I think that was more scheme than reading the covers because there's nobody around him. But
how does that happen? How does that happen? How does Travis Kelce get wide open?
I don't know. If you're the Vikings defensive coordinator, my one thing is every time they get in the red zone, somebody's going to be on Kelce the whole time. I don't care if we're playing zone. And that's what they were playing right there is zone. And so Kelce, or not Kelce, but Mahomes kind of manipulated the defense with the eyes, got him to move, and there he was wide open. So
I would never. I would never
play I will say I would never play Kelce in zone, especially in the red zone.
Right.
Even if I'm playing zone, one guy's going to be on man on Kelce.
Yeah, definitely for sure. And so, but glad Kelce got in the end zone. I thought like your point where they're not reading the defense, the wide receivers. I thought Rashid Rice should have had another touchdown where I think even Tony Romo, love or hate him, whatever you decide. Yeah. He pointed out, and I saw Rashid Rice slow down on his route instead of continue. And Mahomes was anticipating him to be somewhere different, but he had slowed down in the end zone, and so that just a little miscommunication.
He's out of the play or something.
Yeah,
man, then it was there, and it's too late to catch back up. But
right, yeah.
Yeah, so and the other thing some of these wide receivers need to learn more of, and they'll get there too, is it's like on run blocking too. Some of them are just getting blown up, and they have not figured out how to run block. And for any great offense, when a wide receiver catches the ball, or you're just running the ball with wide receivers out there, they got to figure out how to block a guy. They don't have to necessarily pancake him like some of these offensive linemen do, but just get a body in the way, right?
Right.
Get a body in the way and slow him down and keep him from getting to your guy.
Yeah.
But they'll get there. So
yes, they will.
So, but then let's talk about the Chiefs defense here, right? So,
all right.
We've been talking for weeks that, man, maybe this is an elite team, right? Elite defense, right? So going into this game, the Chiefs defense was number 8, right? So the top 10 defense there. And now we see that the Vikings, even though they lost, they were doing pretty well moving the ball on the Chiefs. So, do we still think it's elite?
I think it's like you go back to which will be a way throwback for those old Chiefs players, but it's Gunther Cunningham style defense, like bend, don't break, right? And I think that's kind of their way of playing is they buckle down in the red zone. They try, they're in between the numbers there, but they're trying to bend but not break in that. And so I think one big thing was I hadn't watched the Minnesota Vikings at all this year, I'll be honest. But watching the game yesterday, they have some players. They have some. They have some good wide receivers. Even their running back, even though they didn't run much, but I thought he did really well when he was in there because man, they got some players over there, and Kirk Cousins is super smart with the ball, getting it out quick, so that defeats our pass rush, which has to be so frustrating for our defensive line. You're just trying to go, and he's getting out quick, and then when he doesn't get out quick, he's doing play action, which kind of stops you. Because you're trying to read, and then then you have to get back going up again. And so, I thought they did some good things there, but they held them. I mean, they held them 20 points, and Chris Jones says we can hold a team to 20 points. We got a good chance of winning.
Yep, and the Chiefs' defense held the Vikings for 2 for 4 in the red zone. So, when you get an offense with that much power in the red zone, and you keep them out of the end zone, that's a huge win. So, they got into the red zone every possession that they scored on and only end up with touchdowns on 2 of those. So that's pretty good. I'll take that if someone would have told me that going into the game.
So I think that's like 5 touchdowns for the year.
Something like that. Yeah.
That's
I
only
have to go back and count, but there's not been very many of them. That's for sure.
No. Because I think Lions, they probably got 3, right? But one of those I guess it wasn't a pick. Anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, they got 3. So there's probably more than 5 then. So
probably more than 5. How many did they get yesterday? 2?
They got 2 yesterday.
So there's 5.
The Jets got at least 1.
All right.
Right.
So there's 6. And then the Jaguars got 0.
Yeah, Jaguars got 0. Yeah, well, whatever it is, it's a low number. How about that?
There you go.
We'll have to do the exact count later, but it's a low number.
5 going in. Maybe it was 5 going into the game.
Maybe that could
and
now
it's 7.
Yeah, something like that. So
all right.
Yeah, I'll say about the Chiefs defense, I think the secondary especially is elite. I think it is.
Yes.
I think they might have the best combo of cornerbacks with Snead and McDuffie. that they got, and they use Reed as much like a cornerback as a safety than they do as a safety. Brian Cook plays the deep safety probably more than anybody, and he's doing well.
Yes,
so,
he is.
I think that secondary is elite. I think the one thing they can do to improve is on their pass rush, getting home without blitzing. Right. Like, they got there, a couple times yesterday, but for the most part, Kirk Cousins had all day to throw. So even when he wasn't getting it out quick, he had all the time he needed to throw, and nobody's even collapsing the pocket. So now, in fairness, on the very last play, that fourth down play, as you briefly mentioned, Travis Kelce back there in the end zone, the pass rush got home and ended the game.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying it's completely not there, but I'd like to see them create a little more pressure without having to blitz.
Right. Yeah, definitely. I think that's a huge one. And I think you're going to have to play that way. Your defense line is going to have to get pressure without you blitzing. Some of these tougher teams that we're going to end up facing here, like the Chargers will be one that comes to mind. We got to get pressure without a blitz. The Eagles, when we play the Eagles Monday night, a couple of weeks from now, we're going to get pressure and containment. But I think when we play
same thing.
Yeah, Miami, Josh Allen, Joe Burrow. Even though I don't know if Joe Burrow is back on. I mean, it was the Cardinals, but we'll see.
Yeah, we need to see a couple more weeks of that before we determine if he's back or not.
Right.
Yeah, so with Travis Kelce with his injury, I mean, honestly, I thought he was out for the year with that. I thought because he went down, I thought anybody touching him, I thought that's like an Achilles thing right there. Oh, man, I was like, well, I really hope these wide receivers are figuring it out now because they're going to need to, right? So
yes.
But luckily, apparently just something with his ankle or something. And so he came back and he scored a touchdown later. So I'm hoping that was just kind of re-aggravating something or twisting of his ankle. Not to say that's not still going to be sore, but not going to be anything that's going to keep him out long-term. It doesn't seem like.
Well, let's hope not. I know it's a quick turnaround game this week. And so Thursday night is the game. So, I mean, we're talking 4 days, 3.5 days. And so you think, what are your odds right now of Travis Kelce playing? If it is a high ankle, we haven't heard. And Andy Reid didn't give much because they still got to look at it and evaluate and see how bad it swelled up after they took off the boot. But we'll see. Or not the boot, the cleat.
Yeah. If I'm giving a percentage right now, I think there's a 85% chance that he's playing.
Yeah, I think so. Denver Broncos coming to town. I can't wait to talk about the Broncos.
That's right. So that'll be happening soon. But the other side is, do you think part of it's just his age, or he's just going to be a little more prone to injury now?
No, I think it's the turf versus grass, right? I think that's going to be another story. I think it's going to be a big story. And I listened to, I think it was their podcast. I think he said something about like he has every turf field circled just so he knows.
Yeah.
Like when he plays on turf, and he's been out pretty publicly like, I don't like playing on turf. I think
the majority of NFL players, even those who play on turf, have said a lot too, that they don't like it. So,
and then even you got Justin Jefferson with the hamstring coming out. So is that because of turf? And so I think it's a big thing where like, do we want our superstars on the sidelines watching the game? No.
Yeah.
No, not at all. So
well, and the big question with that, we don't have to dive too deep into this, but the big question is, especially up north, like in Minnesota, New York, when it starts getting those colder months and you have domes. I mean, there are ways to grow grass indoors. Different lights and things you can do for that. But man, it is a much bigger process than growing grass, even in Dallas or Houston or somewhere where you're going to have sun for a lot longer and warmer weather. So,
Arrowhead's figured it out.
They have. They got that. I believe his name's Travis Hogan, right? Shout out to him, the groundskeeper for the Chiefs. I mean, that guy does an incredible job. They had Beyonce there as a concert, just in the last week or so, and now they're prepping it for new turf and getting new turf ready for the game on Thursday night. So, I mean, they put new turf and manage that thing so well that it's pretty elite for a grass field. That's good.
Right. But then you get like the grass fields in Arizona that were slick for the Super Bowl. I mean, the Chiefs didn't have trouble slipping, but
So apparently they changed the field out between every possession, I guess.
There you go. Yeah,
I don't know how that worked, but somehow they managed that. So.
That's hilarious.
Man. Yeah. Well, let's talk about a little bit. First off, let me ask you this. So they're towards the end of the game. There's 12 minutes left in the fourth quarter. The Chiefs have got it. They're up by 7 points, right?
Right.
And then I'm not sure if this is now just Andy Reid's game plan going into games or just his tendencies or who's talking in his ear. I don't know who it is, but something's got to happen because 12 minutes left in the game. You're up by 7 against a team that has an elite offense. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about that going into the game, that the Vikings have the number 9 offense in the league, and passing, they're number 3. So not that they can't score quickly or big in big chunks, because they can. And so 12 minutes left in the game, and the Chiefs like, you know what? Let's just run it. We don't need to pass anymore. We got enough yards. We don't need to pad any more stats. Let's just run the clock out. I mean, 12 minutes left in the game is way too much time. They got away with it last week against the Jets with 8.5 minutes are in and out, but 12 minutes is a long time to run out. And so I don't know if they just thought they were going to run the whole thing and maybe end up with a touchdown, but teams figure it out when you're just running the ball and doing screen passes.
Right. I was looking down at our running. So Pacheco had 16 attempts for 55 yards. That's 3.4 yards a carry. His longest run of the game was 11 yards. Jerry McKinnon had 1 attempt for 7 yards. And then Clyde Edwards-Helaire had 3 attempts for 4 yards. That's rough. Yeah,
and I think, too, the average for Pacheco went way down in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to look at again to see what his average was heading into the fourth quarter, because once they know you're running, it's a lot easier to stack guys and bodies in there to stop the run, and that's what they were doing.
And I know Andy Reid has formations that look like they're running and then passing it, in that formation. And so, do a little play action, get those linebackers to suck in, and then boom, there you go, Noah Gray.
Yep, there you go.
So
Noah Gray's had another big catch. So
man, he's
starting to come together.
He's making the most of his opportunities. Unfortunately, it's with Kelsey getting hurt sometimes, but he's making the most of his opportunities, which is good to see. So
we'd just like to see them be a little more aggressive, because when they start doing that, what you're really doing is you're playing not to lose rather than playing to win. And when you play not to lose in the NFL, more times than not, you might end up losing that game. So you got to continue to play to win, unless you're up by maybe 70 points or something, right? I mean, the Dolphins figured out how to push 70 up, and they never let up until the player said, "Okay, there's no way to catch up. Let's not kick a field goal." But then you're like, we're up 7, we're good. Let's just run the clock out. It's 2 totally different mindsets there.
And I think there's other ways too. Like we've seen wide receiver screens, tight end screens. There's safe ways to throw the ball, and still even a slant, I think, is a safe way to throw the ball and get yards. And so with Mahomes' accuracy and his IQ there, I think you can definitely trust him in those situations. Hey, take care of the ball. You understand. And then I think that opens up for the runs, right? The surprise draws or things like that. We're like, okay, we don't know what they're going to do. To your point, we're like, when they're going to run, it's a little easier to stop the run.
Right.
And so, definitely would like to see a little more aggressive play calling. Just not to rub it in their face, not to run up the score, but to control the clock.
Exactly. Yeah. That is what we're both, I think, pointing to, is we just don't want to give them the ball back and give them a chance to either win or tie the game. So we want to be able to win the game in regulation and not have to worry about that.
Right. And we talked on the phone earlier today where we were both saying if the Vikings would have scored, I think I really think they would have gone for 2 to win.
Oh yeah. I mean, once you see what Mahomes is able to do, in the playoffs and in overtime and those kind of situations, he's capable of. So you don't want to give him the opportunity to win. You want to try to win it on your terms. And so if I was them, I'd go for 2. I wouldn't try to chance it and say, you know what? If you go to overtime, you do a coin flip, lose a coin flip, you might not even get to touch the ball again.
Right.
So I was like, we're going to win this on our terms when we can decide, and we're going for 2 to win it. So,
as a fan, would you be upset if you went, say we were in reverse the situation, right? We, go for 2, we don't make it. Would you be upset? Like, why didn't we just tie and go to overtime? We got Patrick Mahomes.
Honestly, I would be, but just because we lost, I'd have to think of something. But I think if I'm being realistic, though, it would depend a lot on who we're playing.
Okay,
right? Like if we're playing the Broncos and we're in that position, like, dude, go to overtime. Don't even
go to overtime, right?
But if we're playing somebody, like the Dolphins, like just one of those elite teams have a huge firepower. I'm like, yeah, I'm okay with going for 2.
Okay, yeah, there you go. Yeah, okay.
So I think with me, it depends on the opponent.
Yeah.
So, well, last thing I want to talk about here is penalties, right? That's the thing that everybody's been talking about. They were saying, hey, the Chiefs are losing or the Chiefs are winning because of, calls that are being called or are not being called. And and so let's just get down to this and settle this for the debate once and for all, right? Once and for all. We don't need to hammer this every week. So we're just going to hammer it right now, in the little time we have left. So, are the Chiefs benefiting from these plays and these penalties, Dale? And is it causing them to win games and causing other teams to lose games?
So for me, you never want to be like, and I think this is old Chiefs fans, right? This would be like way back, like, oh, if we had that call, we would have won. Like, I think one we think of is the
D Ford.
D Ford. Yeah, D Ford. Like, if he wasn't lined up sides, we would have won. But we played like garbage the first half. So we probably didn't deserve to win that game. And so, yeah, I think like once you start like, oh, the refs should have helped us in that you shouldn't win. The argument's over. As soon as you start talking about refs, the argument's over. Like, it's done.
In fairness, though, when we do talk about that, I don't think I've ever blamed a ref for that.
We blame D Ford. D Ford.
He's the one that did it, right? He did it.
Yeah.
I know he did it. And
right.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I would say, so just for this past game for the Vikings, because there's another couple of penalties in that people are talking about. They talk about the pass interference called in the favor of the Chiefs when MVS was trying to go back. Then the one that had a flag thrown that was picked up and no call against Snead there in the end zone there towards the end of the game. And so a couple of penalties there. So another game where they're talking about the Chiefs are benefiting by these penalties. So here are just the facts and the numbers for you to start.
Okay, give us the facts. No, this is
Yeah, so penalties. So because the Chiefs are so highly favored by all these umpires, they were given 10 penalties for a total of 86 yards because apparently that's what you do when you favor a team. But, the Vikings, they only had 4 penalties for 51 total yards. Well, that can't be right, Dale. That can't be right because the Chiefs are fair. Well, let's just look at how many first downs that we got then out of penalties, because I feel like that'd be a more reliable source than, maybe they got 1 or 2 here or there and didn't help much. But let's just do penalties by first down. So the Vikings were gifted 5 first downs by penalty. So that's quite a few in the game. So, but I'm sure the Chiefs probably had at least twice as many because they are favored. And the stats here only say 1. What is happening here, Dale? Why are the Chiefs not being favored? I demand answers because I've been told they're favored by the refs, and I'm not seeing it on the paper.
So 50% of the calls were in first downs for the Vikings against the Chiefs, right? The penalties. 10. So 50%. So if we do the 1 at 4, what is that? 25. 25% of the Chiefs' favor would be first down. So it doesn't add up. And like I say, unfortunately, the penalty that the Chiefs got or didn't get was at the end of the game. And I wish it wasn't. I wish there was it was clean, but you watch that play, that wide receiver had no idea the ball was coming to him. I believe because he saw it. He saw it bounce, 10 yards to the left of him. And so I don't think he thought he wasn't looking for the ball. So I think Snead had good coverage. I mean, he wasn't looking either, but he was just watching the wide receiver. And so, and then the whole helmet taken off thing. Well, that should, even if they were to throw a flag, the Chiefs would still have the ball there at the end. And so that wouldn't change much. So people and I didn't know that rule either. I thought, he took his helmet off. Okay, now they're going to extend the drive, but it was after the play and the Chiefs have retained ball. So pretty crazy.
Right. Since that was 4th down, the Chiefs would have had the ball and it would have just pushed the Chiefs back further. And the other thing is this too, when the ball was in the air or even when it landed, that ball was nowhere near the receiver. I mean, I'm not saying it was obviously who he was passing to, so I'm not making that argument, but it wasn't in a catchable radius of the receiver at all.
Oh no.
And that's the first thing we look at when we look at pass interference calls is it catchable? Right. That is what the umpires and what the refs always say is it catchable? If it's not catchable, it's not a penalty.
And how many refs are on the field? How many refs are on the field?
Too many.
Let's see. There's 2 in the back, 2 on the side, and then 2. So 6 rep. 2, 2, 2. Or is it? That. Yeah, something. So at least 6 or 7 guys, and you have a ref up on the sky.
Yeah, there's 6 to 8 because I don't know if they still have. They used to have a ref roaming the middle of the field by the linebackers, but I think they stopped that after. Maybe I can't remember. Those guys just blend in anymore, but yeah.
But and I think the NFL fans, not Chiefs fans, not Vikings fans, NFL fans should be encouraged that they got together and they discussed that for quite some time.
Yeah.
Right. And it was not like an immediate, it wasn't in the mode, like everyone kind of came together. They had different angles, different point of views, and then they shared what they thought. And so, I think they got it right.
All right. My last thought on this to wrap this up here. If your team is relying on a penalty to win a game, you're probably not going to win that game anyways, right? Because you have to come into a game ready, and there's calls every game. There's catches every game, runs every game that could go one way or the other. And so it's just a matter of executing. And so if you're dependent on a player or not even player, a call by the refs to help you or to hurt the other team, you're not in position to win that game.
No.
And so if you want to win a game, don't rely on the refs. Play your game and you'll win. Right? Play your game and execute. That's all we need to know about that. So that should settle the argument for anybody wondering. No, the Chiefs are not being favored. Just execute on your team and don't worry about the refs, and you'll win. That's how you beat the Chiefs.
That's right.
So. All right. Well, thank you for joining us in this episode of the Kingdom Corner. This episode is brought to you by Oh Hey Threads, where a portion of every purchase goes to support missions all over the world, one super soft tee at a time. You can find them online at ohheythreads.com. We'll see you next time right here in the Kingdom Corner.